All has officially.
So, hello YouTube. We are back with another react from Internet Anarchist. The Coffeezilla versus Logan Paul situation gets worse. The last time we did the video, it was about, of course, a coin, a scam coin. I wish right now something different is on the plot, you know, and not again for the coin because it's going to be boring. But unemployed shit, bro, has boring stuff also. Let's
Exposed
go.
his true motives for suing Coffeezilla, and in doing so, severely crippled his chances of winning the defamation lawsuit.
Zilla will pay, one way or another. I'll make sure of it. Just to
Yeah, I
make
remember
his
that, I
life
remember that.
difficult.
Bro, you're a billionaire.
A petty billionaire.
Hi, I'm the Internet Anarchist.
A
I
petty
create weekly
billionaire.
YouTube documentaries.
W
and
Internet
today,
Anarchist,
we'll be
W,
uncovering
W.
the recent developments in the Coffeezilla vs. Logan Paul lawsuit, how it's going, what's been revealed in the latest filings, and how it could fundamentally change the YouTube landscape when it's all said and done. I think everyone watching is more than familiar with the ongoing legal battle between Logan Paul and Coffeezilla. However, if you're not all caught up, here's a super brief overview of what's going on. Almost 2 years after Coffeezilla released a 3-part documentary covering the infamous
Chat,
crypto.
this is because of the full screen. This, wait, this line here. What is this line here? Anyway,
Zoo project that cost users millions, Logan went through with his initial threats of legal action and filed a lawsuit against Coffeezilla, reading, as a direct and proximate result of the publication of the false and defamatory January 5th, 2024 YouTube video, Paul has suffered damages including injury to reputation, embarrassment, humiliation, emotional distress, and economic damages, in an amount to be determined at trial. Anyone who knew the story behind
by
their
the way,
feud over crypto-
sorry chat, sorry for pausing the video, okay? Sorry, alright? Just let me tell you, this thing is happening also in Greece. That's why I know some things for it. I don't know everything because big channels have big money and big stuff. But bro, because you have money, somebody is making a video and say something about you. If he is like saying, I don't know, ultra bad things, or if he's like you are bad, you are fucked, you are this, you are a whore, and he's just swearing at you, it's okay. Do whatever you want. Fuck him up. But because he just said some things and you have money, even though if you don't win in the court, you know, you think that it's a win because you are just going to spend somebody's money because you don't care about yours. I don't know, it's an L for me, it's an L.
Zoo could tell that the lawsuit wasn't filed over genuine damages, but as a means of getting revenge against the one man who was bold enough to document and expose all of his lies. After all, Logan didn't fulfill his promise to finish the Crypto Zoo game, nor did he refund egg holders. And to make matters even worse, he was facing a class action lawsuit spearheaded by attorney Tom over the project. Going after Coffeezilla with a defamation lawsuit over factual events could suggest that Logan wanted to either make an example of him, silence him, bankrupt him with legal fees, or all three. While all these factors are at
That's what I'm saying, chat. Make an example of him, silence him, bankrupt him with legal fees. So, what does he mean? I know that I'm not gonna win in the court, but I'm just gonna waste all his money, all Coffeezilla's money, because I have a lot, let's say, and he doesn't, on legal fees.
play, examining the case
I don't know.
files not
Huge
only
L.
reveals a much more sinister plan from Logan, but also a game-changing move from Coffeezilla that could potentially demolish the lawsuit. To fully understand the lawsuit's progression, we have to know the underlying processes both parties have to go through by law. They include 1. Pleadings, 2. Discovery, 3. Motions, 4. Trial, and 5. Appeals if necessary. For the sake of this video, we'll only be focusing on the discovery process and the motions filed in the case. Regarding discovery, Logan and Coffeezilla are required by the courts to hand over relevant documents, media, and recordings that could help prove or disprove the basis of the lawsuit. To prevent certain private or sensitive information from getting leaked to the public, both parties in the lawsuit agreed to a joint confidentiality order. This means that no matter how damaging the information information they find out about Logan, if it's deemed confidential, it won't be reported on by Coffeezilla and will be redacted in public documents. This veil of confidentiality and the necessary discovery process gave Logan the perfect avenue to demand particular communication between Coffeezilla and a yet to
By the way, this is not unemployed, bro. All this information, blah 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 blah. We want the unemployed shit.
be named third party
We
in
want
the
unemployed
CryptoZoo
shit,
case.
bro.
Reading, plaintiff Logan Paul moves this court to compel defendants to produce all communications between Paul and others regarding Paul's involvement with the CryptoZoo project that defendants possessed when they published the libels at the issue in this case. Essentially, Logan wanted to see everything that went into planning the CryptoZoo documentary and argued that it was a key part of proving Coffeezilla maliciously produced the documentary. In response, Coffeezilla's legal team argued that said communications were protected by Texas's journalistic privileges and the First Amendment. They even went as far as pointing out previous instances when Logan requested these communications but refused to abide by their request regarding his communications, with the document stating, defendants proposed a simple solution that preserves the privilege. Paul can ask Coffeezilla in a deposition whether he has certain documents or information Paul believes support his claim that Coffeezilla acted with actual malice. Defendants also offered to review Paul's production and identify which documents Coffeezilla also has. Ironically, as Logan was trying to get information out of Coffeezilla, he was filing motions to protect his own private communication from being made public. Logan's goal during discovery was to protect his secrets at all costs, while he was trying to gather as much information on Coffeezilla as he could. Sadly, that strategy would be his undoing. It would later be revealed that the individual Logan was trying to get communications about was none other than attorney Tom. To make matters worse, after the judge looked over their communication in person, he granted Coffeezilla and attorney Tom's motion, but denied Logan's. By going after them so directly, Logan had stupidly linked this defamation lawsuit to the class action lawsuit, and opened the door for the Coffeezilla side to make some actual critical connections. On the 15th of April 2025, Coffeezilla's attorney would file a motion to stay and transfer the venue of the case. Essentially, they wanted to pause all the court proceedings until the court confirms the connection between the cases and merges litigations with Logan's other CryptoZoo lawsuit. Their reasoning for bringing forth this motion were threefold. One, to make the litigation more efficient due to the overlap in the premise and evidence of both cases. Two, Logan was using the lawsuit not to gain compensation, but as a way to punish Coffeezilla. And three, Logan was trying to use the defamation case to obtain information about the other pending lawsuits. With the document reading, unable to obtain discovery with the Holland case effectively, stayed while the court considered motions to dismiss. Paul strategically filed this lawsuit to punish the reporter who helped uncover his cryptocurrency scam and gain discovery to defend himself in the pending civil proceedings. Regarding the second point, Coffeezilla's attorney provides some very concerning text messages from Logan made prior to filing the lawsuit, reading, lawyering up, suing this MFer into the ground. Then everything will come out. Court docs are public. As well as, so everyone will see what happened for better or for worse. Logan obviously didn't take into account how bad things were about to get for him, as the next set of text messages reveal just how devastating Coffeezilla's coverage was. Reading, there's a price to pay. That's the idea. I see the momentum building because the throne is being shook right now, as well as need to shut it down. He even admits the entire purpose of the lawsuit was, quote, just to make his life difficult. If any of these statements didn't...
Yeah, so we are talking again about the same thing with the crypto stuff and everything, with the coins and all of that. But now the thing is that we are going straight to punish Coffeezilla.
Sink his lawsuit, claiming he's a quote petty billionaire, definitely did. These receipts not only wreck Logan's reputation publicly, or at least what was left of it, but also damage the strength of his arguments in court. When you look at how desperately Logan was trying to get information out of Coffeezilla, the connection between the two lawsuits becomes almost impossible to ignore. Both cases rely on the same claims and need to answer the same fundamental question of whether or not Logan scammed CryptoZoo users. Getting information from Coffeezilla was the quickest way he could bolster his legal defense, and when you take into note the timing of the case, Logan's motives become undeniable. In Texas, the state the case was filed, there is a 1-year statute of limitation for defamation claims. Logan didn't file his lawsuit until until June 2024, which means he couldn't cite Coffeezilla's original 3-part series and had to go after him for more recent claims. This implies that he wasn't ready or willing to sue Coffeezilla initially, and only found a reason to do so recently. Looking at everything broadly, it seems the reason was the Holland lawsuit. Logan effectively started one lawsuit to end the other, and ended up biting off more than he could chew. Logan's hasty attitude to the case has given Coffeezilla the perfect opportunity to either end the case sooner or have it litigated alongside the more serious class action lawsuit. However, winning isn't Coffeezilla's only concern. Having sufficient funding to ride out the case was also a concern. The process of going through all the necessary documents during the discovery will require tens or hundreds of billable hours from his legal team, and that's if they're just looking over the necessary documents. Knowing Logan, he could prolong the case by flooding Coffeezilla's legal team with unnecessary documents during discovery. To prevent that from happening, Coffeezilla's legal team initially opted for the quicker way to end the case through a settlement in mediation, and was given a deadline of the 26th of June 2025 to conclude it with Logan's side. While a mediator isn't the one to give a final verdict on the case, involving one could speed up the legal process and reduce legal costs for everyone involved. Fortunately, Coffeezilla's side was a more effective way to conclude the case, and one could only hope the judge agrees with them. It goes without saying, but every step of the legal process is expensive, and the more steps Logan adds to the process, the worse it gets for Coffeezilla. At some point, you wonder if Logan is even trying to win the case, or instead going for a game of trying to drain Coffeezilla's bank account. Prolonging the case not only keeps Coffeezilla from reporting about him, but also hurts his biggest critic financially. If Coffeezilla loses or is bankrupted by legal fees, Logan and other crypto scammers would become even more of a problem, and have more confidence to take advantage of their fans.
So the thing is that because somebody can say, yeah, I'm going to start a law war and I have more money, so you're going to pay until you say, okay, I can't do it anymore, and you're going to back off.
On the other hand, if Coffeezilla wins, his victory wouldn't just extend to the class action lawsuit, but to any journalist that reports on crypto scams. Influencers like Logan Paul would be held accountable, and fans that lost their money would be made whole. Reporting on a wealthier and more litigious influencer wouldn't be viewed as a possibly career-ending move, but as a necessary action. Not to mention the fact that this case will be cited in future lawsuits as case law, and will potentially protect other journalists who might face a similar weaponized lawsuit. Whichever way the case concludes, it will certainly cascade throughout the online world and dictate how we handle such high-profile scams going forward. When Logan initially filed this lawsuit, he must have assumed it would be a walk in the park, but judging by his recent motion to keep his text messages confidential, it seems he's starting to regret it. With the document reading, it is apparent that those materials have no relevance to the motion or defendant's arguments, and instead were almost certainly filed for the sole and improper purpose of providing defendants with an excuse to advocate for their public disclosure in order to harm and embarrass plaintiff. Logan's ever-expanding ego led him to assume he could get away with robbing his fans and suing Coffeezilla. Unfortunately,
so as I said, this is what Logan Paul tried to do. This is what Logan Paul tried to do, bro. And this is mad, bro. This thing is mad. Mad dumb. To try just create a lawsuit just to drain money out of somebody who is going to uncover, he uncovered your scam. And instead of say, okay, you know what, like the Haktua girl or like the Tates, that okay, that's what happens. There are dumb people that they are falling for scams. Instead of saying this, you're not anymore the Disney kid. Nobody's gonna say, oh, we're not going to hire him again to play on the Disney movie. No, nobody cares, bro. You are just an individual doing whatever you want in this life. Disrespectful as fuck. Not unemployed video, but it was great to learn something out of this video. Damn, a billionaire trying to silence somebody who showed the scam that he did. Alright.